And so let's begin. Rob, I figured I'd go ahead and put you on the front lines first, since you're a fellow Knoll, and you're heading up this project, this Encore project, and you think it's very important to connect Ybor City to downtown Tampa. And what I learned in talking to you is it's not about connecting A to B in a way that it makes it easier to get from Tampa to Ybor, but about the space that lies between. And so tell me what that's all about.
Encore is built on a foundation of what used to be Central Park Village. Back in the turn of the century, it was a phenomenal African-American community until the abolishment of Jim Crow laws. It was the place to be. Ray Charles penned his first song, recorded his first song, I Found My Baby in St. Pete, on that boulevard.
Did he really? I didn't know that.
The Ella Fitzgerald performed at the Cotton Club. The twist was, I guess, patented, if you will, on that same street. So that from a community standpoint, there was a great heritage there. That heritage went away with the abolishment of Jim Crow laws. The whole exercise of Encore is to really fill in what used to be a phenomenal community and connect what is Ybor and the Central Business District right now.
Wait, just break it down for me. What streets are we talking about? I mean, I haven't lived here or been in that area long enough to know which area you're talking about.
It's bounded by Nebraska on the east side, Perry Harvey Park on the west, Scott Street on the north, and Cass on the south.
So you're talking about a predominantly blighted area.
It's a giant blight which has been completely cleaned. The infrastructure is in place at this point. All the blocks are carved out. All the domestic water storm system, it's all in place and starting to go vertical. Our first project broke ground last week. So.
That's great. So which project is that? I mean, how do you get something like this off the ground? How do you decide where you start with a project that seems pretty massive?
It's a big undertaking. The folks who envisioned this project many years ago had some hurdles in getting it delivered, but they overcame because they're visionary. They're passionate about what they do. We have great partners in Bank of America and the Tampa Housing Authority that just would not be told no. So they're delivering what is their vision, and we're helping to make it reality. They're really putting in effort to put the infrastructure in place. We've been on the design side of it 2.5 years now, really looking at doing the building, the vertical piece that's going to kind of define the architecture and really fill in that urban fabric that's missing up there. It takes a lot of help from city officials and from planners. We've had some great success with the city really working as a public-private partnership. And I think it's a great testament to not just public-private from our standpoint as a private entity to the city, but the Housing Authority as a quasi-governmental entity, and the Bank of America, which is financing and backstopping the project.
But as somebody who's lived here your entire life, I have to wonder, what is Tampa doing right, in your opinion?
Well, I think Tampa's doing a lot right. I see more and more ties back to the history of Tampa. We have a lot of tradition and character in this city that most cities don't. We have a lot to offer in terms of the landscape and the waterways that we've talked about, in terms of sports teams and athletics. It's actually stunning to me sometimes when I look at cities like Orlando. Granted, they have Disney, but they are, much more successful or booming a lot more than we are. And it's like we have so many more athletic teams, and we have the water, and what's going on. But that being said, I think we've made a tremendous amount of progress from where we were. I know when I was growing up, it was like Harbor Island, where I live now, was like a dump, basically. And now we've developed all along the water, and we've started the Riverwalk project.
And that's where you live, right? That's your neighborhood.
Yeah, it is now. So I think they're doing a lot right in terms of development. So hopefully that continues, and retaining a lot of talented young professionals and attracting others. And so hopefully it's going in the right direction.
Well, we talked a little bit about the comparison of Tampa on one side of the bridge and St. Pete on the other, and the competition that lies between those two cities that seems so incongruent. I mean, they couldn't be more different cities, but I gotta wonder what St. Pete's getting right, and we talked about this, versus Tampa.
Right. That's one of my big frustrations, and I actually was talking to the guy heading up the downtown partnership, and I work a lot with the chamber, and I've worked a lot with different organizations and discussing and trying to figure this out. A lot of people think it's the landscape and the magnitude, that we're going all the way from Channelside all the way up here, and that we've got a bigger area. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but I think that that's huge to get some nightlife here and some downtown life. It's going to bring tourists, it's going to develop our economy, bring jobs, attract people to stay here or come here. Hopefully, maybe it's a transit issue. We've talked a lot, explored different angles if the public transportation is a problem. But
You go to downtown St. Pete any night of the week, and it's beautiful. Maybe it's the water. I don't know. Maybe it's the casual atmosphere. But it's packed. People are eating at the restaurants. Baywalk is not doing so well. But I mean, that atmosphere is happening. It seems like it's flourishing, where Tampa is sort of, I don't know. I want to bring in Shannon now to talk about Restitch Tampa.
Restitch Tampa is an international design ideas competition, and it started with a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. And it really, actually, the catalyst was when we thought we were getting the high-speed rail, and that could be a catalyst for beginning to rethink the infrastructure that would go along with it and begin connecting the dots, so to speak, and connect to our river, which is an incredible amenity for the city, but like a lot of American cities, had an industrial past or has a post-industrial condition where the buildings have a back to it, or there's been a lot of blight, or in Tampa, because we had to do a lot of research because of urban renewal, people fled to the suburbs, bulldozed really vibrant fabric of the city, and put expressways through it. So what we're doing is we're acknowledging the river as an incredible amenity for the city, as an economic engine for the city, as numerous North American cities have done, but also that it can be an ecological catalyst. Who wants to sit next to a sewer? And right now, a lot of runoff from the streets and cars goes directly into the river. So the framework for the competition is embodying all of those ideas, taking what we have. The river, the city has done a great job with starting the river walk as a public right of way. But we really want to push the mandate of the NEA, which is design excellence. And we have had inquiries from all over the world. We've had them locally. I know that my students are doing the competition. To really re-envision something unique. I just brought one of my students is in the audience, but we just got back from New York City yesterday. And
do you want to talk about which student?
Brett, you can stand up. Sorry, I just put you on the spot.
Brett? Hello, Brett.
But we visited the High Line, and this was what this ideas competition was modeled after. The High Line, for those of you who don't know, was an elevated abandoned rail that ran 1.5 miles through some of the densest fabric in the city. But the landowners wanted to tear it down. It had blight. But a couple of writers saw the value in this overgrown kind of urban wild with a public right of way through the city. So they had an ideas competition such as we were going to have. They had all the panels on display at the Grand Central Station. And then a couple of architects were selected who saw the value in this kind of illicit, wild idea. And it is probably one of the most unique public spaces in America, I would say. Like the High Line, people are now fighting each other in this recession to have cafes, to have restaurants, to build condos alongside this. So it is a public right of way that can be an economic engine for the city. But also you talked about people wanting to be with each other. It's completely crowded all the time, during the day or during at night. And there's all these different activities and programs that happen along it. And I absolutely see that can happen for this area. But I am happy with the activities that are happening right now in the city with the ULI, who was here last week. But I really do think that it can complement those projects. I think that it needs to be design excellence, something that is unique, and takes Tampa's condition. We have more than 50% of surface parking. Well, let's turn that into an opportunity in the downtown core. Let's turn that into an opportunity through design. Let's take our climate. Let's provide shading infrastructure. Let's provide stormwater infrastructure in our design and begin to reconnect that to a design that is unique, that is not like 20 other cities.
And does anybody have a question out there? Can we start with somebody? Do you guys, any questions at all?
My question is not politically loaded, so I'll start by saying that.
Good disclaimer.
I spend half my day working with affordable housing, the other half of my day working on a 55,000 square foot house. So my question lies in the middle class, and it goes from legal to financial to design. Where is the middle class in all of this return to recovery sort of thing, and what is in store for the middle class? I'm a small business owner. I am the middle class, and I don't really know what my fate is in this formula that we're laying out here. So, is that a question?
Abstract for 500. But I mean, a good question, right? Because so many of us are middle class. I mean, we're living and working and trying to make it work every day. We've got kids. We worry about schools. We worry about education. So
I think they're the backbone. I think when I talk development and small businesses here and a lot of the local leaders that I talk to on a daily basis, I mean, I think they're the backbone. And I think the idea is a lot of the entertainment or restaurants or dining or things that come in need to be more affordable and more geared toward the middle class. I mean, I think that's what we need to really speak to. So I think they're everything to us and they're what we're really trying to cater to. And that's why I was really speaking about small business more than anything else.
One of the stakeholders who we've been working closely with is called the Green Artery, and it's interesting to see in some public projects how it's really the bottom up, right, saying we want this, we want access to it in a green way through our city. We want to be able to bike, we want to be able to run from point A to B. We don't want to have to get in our car to go out everywhere, right? So I think that that's certainly something that Stitch is looking at, again, our amenities and thinking about how we can reconnect them. Even basic, health and well-being. We were also in Boston. I mean, wow, you can run for 2 hours along the river or walk or have access to those basic amenities that you don't need a lot of money for. But, the city needs to provide that infrastructure to its citizens, I think, and that's what City of St. Pete's recognized the value of design excellence by not having a typical RFP or queue for their peer, but putting it out to an international design ideas competition. And now they have 3 stellar firms, world-renowned, who are rethinking and re-questioning and not just doing the same old or convention. And I think that's what we need for this city.
it's a different way of thinking about things. Sorry, what was your first name again? Jonathan, I think you had a really good point. Maybe we need to fine-tune the question a little bit.
I think that it seems like the city has forgot about the middle class. We deal with these lower income or these single situation, and then we deal with these luxury situations. But where does the middle class fit into the downtown? I know that it's difficult for a family right now to move to downtown Tampa, and I know there are thoughts out there on how it could happen, or the green space and that stuff. But I just feel like the city has forgot about the middle class, the city as a definable boundary, and I would love to see that middle class return to the city rather than just that singles nightlife or luxury living.
You talking about like financial incentive to move to the city, or
I think it could be a little bit of everything. It's an architectural problem. It's a financial problem. I think it's a little bit of everything.
I think to Jonathan's point, you have very limited product in what is the central business district downtown. You do have some in Channelside, but again, a lot of that is young single professionals, nightlife based product. I think as you infill more blocks, you start adding more to Encore is a great opportunity, but as the infill projects get done, that is the question: how you get families to move back downtown? Because the people who can least afford to live the commuting life are the people who can least afford to live in the downtown. So without affordable housing, those people don't have an
I think
opportunity.
Encore is the perfect experiment. The trick is going to be, how do you lure those people down? How do you get that first family down?
Or you enhance connectivity.
Yeah.
Why can't you
Make
just
it better.
live in some of the outlying suburbs like Tampa Heights, right? And again, why can't you bike to work? I live in Hyde Park. Why can't I bike to the city? Well, I'd probably be killed. I think it's enhancing the public right-of-way, the river. Why don't we extend it north? Why can't I bike to USF for my work? Who can? A lot of people can't afford cars or the insurance or the upkeep of that. We live in a subtropical city. Why can't we bike and again enhance our own health? I think through those basic, cheap amenities. I'm not talking about a lot of money. I'm talking about green space.